Welcome to our day tripping segment. I'm Randall King for WIW-TV.
And I'm Stephanie Frame, and we are here in Wabash, Indiana. It's about a 30-minute drive from Marion, kind of just in the backyard. Most people don't even realize it's here, but Wabash has a lot of history.
Yeah, well, what we love to do on day tripping, for those of you who've seen it before, and if you haven't, it's our chance to kind of show you the hidden treasures that are right in the state of Indiana, less than a day's drive away, and you can spend a full day in here. We find out that there's a lot of things to do right here in Wabash.
That's right. Wabash has a lot of charm. You can see from the courthouse behind us. Lots of fun arches and shapes, and there's lots of restaurants and inns, all sorts of kind of cute stuff that you want to come see.
Yeah, people have certain ideas of what to do in Wabash, but there's a lot more they haven't discovered, and what we're finding is a lot of heritage and a lot of heart. Wabash is best known for two things: the Honeywell family and the town's claim to fame for being the first electrically lit city in the world. The large Honeywell Center hosts famous artists and performances all year round. But the Honeywell is not the only reason people come to visit Wabash, as we found out at the Wabash County Historical Museum. Well, now we're inside the Wabash County Historical Museum with Tracy Stewart, who is the executive director. And this is a fascinating museum. There's a lot of history, I would imagine, in Wabash that's contained in here in these exhibits.
Absolutely, that is the story that we are trying to tell, is the story of Wabash County, and it was an interesting process to go through all of our artifacts and see what we had and decide which stories that we actually wanted to tell here in the museum.
Well, there are lots of different stories, like you said, lots of different exhibits. What kind of things would pop out to people that they maybe not realize Wabash is known for?
Well, things that Wabash is known for, first of all, the first electrically lighted city in the world. It was on the top of our courthouse and made just a huge impression on that crowd of people that were standing out there. The story of Frances Slocum is another great story, a little Quaker girl who was abducted by Indians and learned to live with them and accept that culture and embrace that culture.
We noticed something else here. We're here on the first floor where there's a lot of stuff dealing with transportation. Railroads and canals and rivers have shaped this city for a long time, haven't they?
Absolutely. It's really the reason that the whole town was platted was because they knew that the canal was going to go through here.
Well, obviously the museum seems like the natural first stop when you come into Wabash before you start exploring things. Can you tell us why you think people should start here?
Well, it gives you just a great overview of the entire county. The first thing that we suggest that people do when they come in is to watch our video, and it's just an introduction to the county.
Well, thank you so much, Tracy, and now I think we're going to explore some more of the museum.
From Native American heritage to more modern conveniences, the museum has a wide variety of interesting displays.
And finishing off upstairs is a whole area dedicated to the Harley-Davidson. Motorcycles are on display from all different decades.
And it's just outside and up the hill where you can find another important historical site at the Dr. James Ford Home.
The Dr. James Ford Historical Home is a restored Civil War-era physician's house where director Tyler Handwork showed us life in the 19th century.
And it was a 3-year restoration process and opened in April of '05. And it had to have a new foundation. It had 3 layers of roof. It had slate, wooden, and modern tar shingles, so there was a lot of weight. It tells you how well it was built. This is how we portray Dr. Ford's medical office, although he never practiced medicine in the home. He had a little one-room building to the east of the house. And these would have been actually the tools he would have used for an amputation. This is a gentleman that could have been caught in the railroad tracks, farmer, things like that.
And it seems very crude by our modern 21st century sensibilities, but I'm sure he was practicing the best that he could at the time.
Yes.
When you see what was here and the conditions and things like that. A lot of changes around the turn of the century in medicine.
And this room kind of tells the story of Dr. Ford. Some of the things he did: he was an inventor. He had this patent for a grain drill. He was a surveyor. He was a founding board member and trustee of Northwestern Christian University, which is now Butler University. And every quarter he'd go down on horseback, 2.5 days, on his horse Barney.
Wow.
And spend a week down there and come back, so he lost all the income he would have had. And he was very dedicated. There's an interesting quote over here that says, "Man should not live for self alone, or only, excuse me." And that kind of tells really his story.
Well, it's great that you've taken part of this area to kind of tell his story, because otherwise it just seems like another house, but there's truly a great man and family here behind all kind of what we see.
Yes.
Wrapping up his legacy, what are people capturing here when they walk through?
Well, it's not so much about Dr. Ford's legacy as a typical pioneer family and the struggles they'd go through to eat, raise a family. You know, people didn't live a long time, and a lot of deaths and things like that. So it tells the story of what things were like for your typical everyday pioneer family.
It's really a great slice of life in the Midwest at that time.
It is. It is.
If entertainment is more your speed, the historic downtown offers antique shopping, and you can watch a new movie in historic style at the Eagles Theater.
One of Wabash's newest attractions is the historically renovated Charley Creek Inn. This 1920s boutique hotel was once the Hotel Indiana, one of Wabash's first hotels. The Charley Creek Inn has 30 rooms and suites featuring turn-of-the-century decor with modern conveniences. The inn is the perfect home base for out-of-town guests to explore Wabash.
We're now in the lobby of the beautiful Charley Creek Inn with Adam Stegman, who's banquet manager here, celebrating 1 year since the remodel, and wow, what a showpiece this is.
That's right. After a nearly 3-year renovation, we celebrated our grand opening last year on May 6th. So we're just now celebrating our 1-year anniversary. Very proud and very honored to be able to have this showpiece here in Wabash.
When people come in here, they're immediately, they hear the big band music. You've got the 20 restaurant that does that. You're kind of just really going for an old-fashioned feel here, aren't you?
That's right. From the name of the restaurant, which is 20, kind of dates back to the hotel. Originally opened in 1920. We wanted to keep that same feel throughout. So like you said, the big band music, the furnishings, but with the modern amenities as well.
Are people ever surprised to kind of get that old classic downtown hotel feel in a small town like this?
They are. Wow is kind of our common answer as people walk in the door to the hotel or to the restaurant. It's you know, they just didn't expect it here in Wabash.
Tell me about the guest rooms, the restoration that went into those, and what you're going for there also.
Sure. Well, we have each room is individually appointed. We have 30 guest rooms. 7 of them are being suites. But you'll find no 2 rooms are identical, whether it's the antique furnishings in the rooms, the wall coverings. We've chosen to put antique furnishing in the rooms, but with kind of a modern flair. Our mattresses are handmade in Michigan. We have a plush and a firm side, so when our guests call and make that reservation, they can try to sleep in accommodations that are very similar to what they would find at home.
There's a total experience here, and it really does envelop you in the history of the event. So, Adam, thank you so much for telling us and letting us be your guest even for a little short time.
Oh, thank you.
The perfect way to end the day is the Charley Creek Gardens in the heart of Wabash. This horticulture center features garden displays and education programs. You may even forget you're in the middle of town.
Well, I'm here with Kelly Smith, the director of Charley Creek Gardens. And Kelly, this garden is the shade garden, correct?
Correct.
And it is beautiful. Will you tell me a little bit about the gardens?
Well, Charley Creek Gardens became an official public gardens in 2008. However, this garden here was started at the end of 1990. And that's when I started working for Richard Ford as the gardener, and then to become the director of the gardens. So this is our oldest garden, and it's a wonderful garden because you can come here any time of the year and it looks different. It's mainly a spring garden. As you look around, you'll see the blooming azaleas, and you'll see the barrenwort and the Lenten rose, but you'll come here during the summer, and where you see a lot of these spring plants, we'll have summer blooming annuals. And then throughout we'll have summer blooming perennials. And then come fall, they start to show their fall colors, the trees start to color up. And so you really get this wonderful year-round picture of what a garden should be.
It's very peaceful here, very colorful right now. There's lots of purples around, which is a really good spring color. So really there's lots to offer when you come to the gardens.
Absolutely. If you come early, you'll see the daffodils in bloom. A little bit later, you see the posque flower and the bluebells. Then the azaleas and the red buds and the dogwoods, they start to color up for everybody, and that's when a lot of traffic comes.
Well, that's perfect. Well, thank you so much, Kelly, for this self-guided tour.
The Charley Creek Gardens are open year-round, 365 days from dawn to dusk, and you can find directions and more information on their website, charleycreekgardens.org.
Stephanie, I hope everyone's enjoyed this little taste of what Wabash is all about.
That's right, it's very peaceful here in the gardens. I feel like I could spend the whole day here.
And it's a great way to end things up after you've checked out the fun and the history and the food and all the great things of Wabash. Again, we can't stress it enough. This is barely a day trip away, only about 30 minutes from Grant County, so you do not want to miss this opportunity in Wabash.
And if you want to see some of our past episodes of Day Trip and see where we're going the rest of the summer, you can go to our website, that's wiwtv51.com, and then get a sneak peek of where we're going, before we get there. You can see us on Facebook at WIWTV.
It's a great place to check out everything that's going on with Day Trippin' as we check out some new locations all throughout the summer. So, for Day Trippin' on WIWTV, I'm Randall King.
And I'm Stephanie Frame. So long.